Guys, what's up? It's Copper Cutlass, and it's done. I think, we told you how it snowballed with the valve covers. Well, today we actually did a big purge. A lot of stuff is gone. JJ picked up my cores, which I had gotten from him, but a friend of his was in a situation, and they're putting a car together for him, and I told him, look, I forgot what I paid for it, so just come and pick it up. And I gave him a bunch of other stuff to help him out. And then my good buddy, Dave, you guys know, my cylinder head guy, Dave the Freak. I gave him a bunch of stuff too. He picked up his own street project car, and I gave him a set of the slot mags I have up there. So it's the perfect Joe Dirt car for those wheels, and we thinned the herd there, and I gave him a bunch of other random parts I had. Then my buddy Jerry picked up that hood that we painted. I don't know if I showed you guys much of that. I think I posted a picture of it, a short on my page here on YouTube. So I put a bunch of pictures of it up on Instagram. But today we did do a couple things, and obviously big shout out to my buddy Mike at Tom's Plumbing, who hooked me up with the non-AC alternator bracket, and we swapped our underdrive pulleys on there, and they are working as they should. Now, this thing is barely charging 12 volts at idle. This thing really needs to get above 1,000 RPM to, charge. So going to a bigger pulley is going to slow down the speed, so it needs more speed in turn to charge. But what that does is in theory it frees up horsepower. I mean, we're going to find out. I've ran the crank pulley before, but I never swapped the alternator pulley. And there's the bigger ones that really won't, and I have one actually, it really won't charge until you're way up there. So this is actually perfect. This is good for a street setup because at idle, maybe it doesn't start charging till about 1,000 RPM. This car idles at about 900. At a light, it's at 12, it'll kind of drop. We need, I think, at minimum 11 for the MSD to really work right. But as soon as this thing gets up there in the RPM, this thing starts, you see the voltage go up. Our valve covers don't leak. Everything is good there. Kind of organized the wires a little bit. You guys gave me a lot of shit about that, so I figured I'd toss some little shitty clips on there. I actually got those from Dave too. That used to piss him off. So I never ran an air cleaner on my tray, and today while we were all at lunch, we were talking about this, and it's funny that I only have maybe $30 into this whole deal. Because a similar tray would cost you a lot of money, and I just made it on my own. But I ended up flattening the flange so that I can still sneak this air cleaner and not hit the top of the hood. Or bottom side of the hood. But if you guys realize, these air cleaners, if you run these on your carburetor just as is, you're an idiot. You are. They are horribly restrictive. We proved this at Indy when we were racing. And on the street, it doesn't matter if you're racing or on the street, they are so horribly bad. Here's what makes it work for this. We have this velocity stack and the air cleaner. There's 5+ inches there easy. There's plenty of room for the air to get drawn in and straighten out. And prior to that, I was driving around with the borrowed air cleaner from the Pontiac, which is over here somewhere, the 3-inch. By the way, we also got our 5000 installed back from Midwest Converters, and it is a very nice piece. So when we are ready to swap over to this transmission, we got a fresh torque converter for our fresh transmission, and everything's going to be good. So anyway, going from that air cleaner to this setup literally raised the idle up. So that is, even on a 3-inch air lid, flat top, maybe you want the flow-through lid, but it kind of kills carb signal because you're adding a lot of restriction up top. And Engine Masters did this years ago. The flow-through lid was obviously the best. The taller the air cleaner assembly, the better it is. I just finally decided to do an air cleaner because occasionally I do drive it on the street, which I did today actually. I drove it pretty damn spiritedly, and what I realize is that for the street, this thing really does need an oil cooler, and I'm actually kind of low on coolant, but I need to drain the coolant because you can't run coolant at the track. I just put coolant in it so the engine does not freeze and crack and all that stuff over the winter. But we're not tossing the belts. I definitely did some hole shots enough to spin the engine to toss the belt, and the belt's in place. So I'm going to go take that belt off and go get another one just to have a spare, because you always want to have a spare belt. You never want to just have one. Just like my theory is, you should always have a spare distributor as well. And if you run an MSD, have a spare MSD box as well. You can never be cautious enough, I guess. And, maybe I'm just a little nuts. But either way, we are pretty much ready for the track. The diff work is done. There's no more noises. I probably should have cleaned my brakes better. They're making some noise, so I might take that back apart and brake clean them and sand them with a little sandpaper. Hopefully they didn't get saturated. They're making a little bit of noise, but nothing crazy. But ultimately, this thing's running really well. I drove it today. It's probably in the 40s. I think it's like 45-ish today. And this thing was just running dynamo. And this thing sounds great with the new mufflers. It is loud, but man, does it grab everybody's attention, and this thing demands it. So I can't wait to see what happens. The track opens up in 2 weeks, and we plan on hitting the track as soon as we can just to get the car out and dial her in. We are going to try to maybe get the car to go a little bit faster. The biggest change from last year would be the 456 gear, and that alone made a big improvement in how the car responded. Not only that, but how the torque converter responded. So now that we have that little bit of extra leverage off the line to make up for the bottom end that we lost through the cylinder heads, we are mechanically making this thing get off the line a little bit faster. So maybe that's, we're going to find our 60-foot. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. Who knows? We're really going to find out. I know that based off the calculator on the top end of the track, our RPM should be somewhere about, factoring in converter slippage, somewhere in the 300 to 400 RPM range. It's going to put us right there where the shift light's coming on. So we're going to find out. We're going to see. Stick around. A couple weeks, we'll be hitting the track, and hopefully we make some good passes, and we're off to start our bracket racing season at the end of April. So in the meantime, we're going to try to get the other engine fired up. I'm kind of done working on this, and hopefully you guys have followed and shared and stuff and all that crap. I was getting crap today at lunch because I say fuck too much and shit and things. Well, this is shop talk. That is what I do. I work in the garage. And if you can't handle my vocabulary, well, maybe you can go read some Dr. Seuss books and, feel comfortable with your nature, which clearly you can't handle the word fuck or shit or ass or tits. Does it George Carlin bit go? So either way, I'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Cutlass. Thanks.